I'm Roger Johnson, and today I'm in Greenville, Tennessee, exploring the Andrew Johnson National Historic Site. Behind me, the final resting place of President Johnson and his wife. Andrew Johnson was the 17th President of the United States, not from Greenville originally. He was born in Raleigh, North Carolina. Just a few months ago, I was there visiting the actual building that he was born in and then his birth site just down the street from the state capitol there in Raleigh. But if you can't make it to Raleigh to see that, you can come here to Greenville, and just across from the visitor center is a replica of that building. It was a kitchen, it was an outbuilding for an inn that was there in Raleigh. This is a replica. Very accurate. I know, I've seen the real thing. You can tour that. Go inside the visitor center. Little museum there about President Johnson. In there they've got his original tailor shop. Before he got into politics, that was his occupation, that was his trade. The building, the tailor shop, is in its original location, and they just kind of built the visitor center over and around it to protect it and preserve it. Other information, a little museum in there about President Johnson. Across the street, one of the early homes that he lived in while here in Greenville. The interior, more like a museum. There's not a lot of furnishings or things like that. In order to see that, his other home, bigger home, later home that he lived in before the Civil War, before his presidency, and then after he was president up until his death. I'd been here before. I'd never toured his home, so I got to do that today. I was the only person on the tour, so that was kind of cool. I learned a thing or two while I was touring the home. One of the neatest things, and they pointed this out, and they said, this is the one thing you're going to remember. During the Civil War, because Andrew Johnson had remained loyal to the Union, and Greenville, Tennessee was kind of like right on the front lines of the war, the town changed hands between Union and Confederate forces 30 times throughout the war. And when the Confederates had hold of it, they'd go into his house, and apparently the walls, all the walls all over the place, were covered in graffiti, not saying very nice things about Andrew Johnson. They have one section, one little spot of that wall is still visible, and it says Andrew Johnson the traitor, the old traitor, something like that. Living in Greenville, Andrew Johnson got into politics. He started out as an alderman, then he became mayor of Greenville. He went on to become governor of the state of Tennessee. He served in the U.S. House of Representatives. Went on to the Senate. While he was in the Senate, that's when the Confederate States of America formed. All of the Democrats in the United States Senate said, hey, you know what, see you later. We're going to go down south, and we've got our own government, our own country. Andrew Johnson was the only Democrat in the Senate to remain loyal to the Union and to stay in his position. President Lincoln said, hey, I like this guy, I like that attitude, loyal to the Union, even though he's from a different party. He's standing up for his principles, standing up for the Constitution. President Lincoln then appointed Andrew Johnson as military governor of the state of Tennessee. He had been governor here previously, took over in that role until President Lincoln was up for re-election. When President Lincoln faced re-election, it wasn't a sure thing by a long shot. The war had been dragging on, bloody, brutal, terrible conflict. Not everybody was in favor of it by a long shot. So it wasn't a sure thing that President Lincoln was going to be re-elected. So in order to help his re-election efforts, he selected Andrew Johnson to be his vice presidential running mate, thus spanning both parties, the Republican and Democrat parties. That's how, when President Lincoln passed away, you had a Democrat taking his place as President of the United States. He got along with the Republicans, the radical Republicans in Congress initially, but he had his own ideas about Reconstruction. He had his own ideas about the Constitution and its meaning, and a very strict interpretation of the rule of law in the Constitution. He butted heads with those radical Republicans, and so they were looking for any excuse they could to get rid of him. The House of Representatives impeached him. They sent it over to the Senate for the trial. He was cleared by one vote and continued on through the rest of his term. After his term in office, then he came back here to Greenville, Tennessee. When he passed away, he wanted a flag as a blanket and the Constitution as his pillow. They did exactly that. Here's a guy, he was devoted to the United States of America. He was devoted to the rule of law and to the Constitution. He stood up against his own party to the point of being called a traitor to the South and to the Democratic Party. And then he stood up against the Republican Party when he felt that they were pushing too far with some of their policies for Reconstruction. His wife is buried alongside him here, as well as other family members around him. But it is a national cemetery, so there's other graves surrounding the property, surrounding the hillside here. Beautiful location, beautiful view overlooking the mountains, and yeah, worthy of a president that stood for what he believed in, was willing to fight and stand for what he believed was the right thing to do. So happy to have come back here today. Beautiful day. So from the Andrew Johnson National Cemetery in Greenville, Tennessee, I'm Roger Johnson, and we'll see you next time. I'm Roger Johnson, the world's first self-proclaimed welcome sign photography expert. I've got a photo of myself next to a welcome sign in all 50 U.S. states and the District of Columbia. And if you don't believe me, I've got a certificate to prove it, which I do need to sign. But that's not the point. The point is, if you've got obsessive compulsive travel disorder like I do, also known as OCTD or the travel bug, you know how much fun it is to keep track of your travel. I've been to all 50 states at least 4 times or more, and I do know how much fun it is to keep meticulous records. I've taken welcome sign photos, I've built complicated websites, produced expensive, time-consuming, award-winning travel documentaries. I put stickers on my van. I've drawn on maps and on myself. It's too much. But now I've found a better way. The Roger Johnson's Welcome to America passport. It's got the look and feel of a real passport. You can customize your passport with your name, personal information, photo, and signature on the information page. Pre-printed stamps for each state contain the date of statehood, as well as mottos, nicknames, landmarks, and symbols unique to each state. See? You can track your travels by coloring in the map in the back, as well as checking off each state and taking notes in the state checklist. So whether you're traveling by land, sea, or air, if it's your first state, your last, or somewhere in between, you too can track your travels with your very own Welcome to America passport. The Welcome to America passport is not an official document issued by any government agency. It is not required for travel anywhere in the United States, world, or known universe. It is strictly for fun as you track your own travels to all 50 United States and the District of Columbia. So if I figure I sell 2 million of these and I make $1 off of each one, I'll be a millionaire.